Maintaining trade compliance is so important, but how do you learn how to do that right? Well, I'd suggest maybe giving Joe a call here. Joe's from Vigilant Global Trade Services. And Joe, maybe you can talk about the type of training that can go on so people can make sure they keep themselves compliant and on the right side of things.
Certainly, Randy, it's a pleasure to be here with you today. So the role of training in maintaining trade compliance is very important. Should you ever undergo an audit, one of the questions they're going to ask is, well, do you train your people? If so, who do you train? So that's very important. I can tell you in a past life that they created training and it was very generic, but it was about 4 to 5 hours long. Well, we know through science that you can't keep a person's attention for 3 to 4 hours at a time. So what I did is I sat back and created training for the various departments. I had a specific training for finance, and it only addressed training for finance. I addressed training for engineering. What it is it engineering needs to know. Engineering needs to understand transfer pricing, the basics. They need to understand what an assist is, because often they're making those agreements with the supplier of the product. So they need to understand that when they may have a situation like that, they need to let you know because it impacts your value. But you also need to maintain training for your people as well. How are you maintaining your people? If you're a licensed broker, the government has now mandated that every 3 years you have to have so many hours of supplemental training to maintain your expertise. There's a lot of ways out there to get that additional training, but the idea is that you constantly have to understand where you're going with trade. I had somebody ask me one time, why would anybody ever want to do trade for a living? And I told him I was ADD. And he said, okay, I'll bite. And I says, well, by the time I learn the regulations, they change them and you got to learn them all over again. You never get bored in this industry. So you have to make sure you understand and constantly open your mind and receive that training. But then you also have to go to all the departments and make sure you're addressing the departments with specific training that's going to address their needs and what you need from them to be successful.
You know, Joe, you mentioned, I think, something about every 3 years you should do this, but boy, as quick as things change. I mean, is this something that should happen every year, even a refresher for different areas?
Well, it's certainly, Randy. I mean, it's good. You can put it on a cycle that says every 2 to 3 years you can do that, or every year. You have to go through that. What I see a lot of people doing is they'll do the one full sit-down training, and what they'll do is they'll do refresher courses where once a year they have to take those courses and redo them again or redo parts of it. Again, this training doesn't have to be 3 to 4 hours. The sweet time is 30 minutes or less. If you can't get your point across in 30 minutes or less, you need to split that training up and set them as module 1, module 2. The whole idea is you want to make sure your people understand the value that you bring through working with you, not against you.
Well, thanks a lot for sharing that, Joe. VigilantGTS.com. Head over there right now. Learn more what Joe and his group can do to help you